It was a golden afternoon in late September, when summer lingers at the edge of autumn, not ready to yield its warmth. The streets of Verona, the lesser-known one nestled quietly in Vermont, not the famed Italian city, were brushed with sunlight, casting amber shadows across the cobbled paths and maple-lined avenues. The small town buzzed with the rhythm of its annual harvest fair, a charming event that felt like something out of a forgotten novel. Booths overflowed with golden corn, honey jars shimmered like bottled sunlight, and children's laughter echoed above the faint melodies of a folk band playing near the town square. Caleb Alden wasn't a man who believed in magic. At 34, he was grounded in reason, a mechanical engineer by trade, with a mind meticulously wired to logic and structure. But that day, the world seemed to whisper a different language, and for the first time in years, Caleb let his steps wander aimlessly through the festival, as if led by something unseen. He turned onto Maple Lane, where the book fair sprawled across the town green. His fingers brushed dusty spines and cracked leather covers, but his attention wandered. It was then he saw her. She stood by a table marked Poetry and Dreams, her hand resting lightly on an old copy of Neruda's Veinte Poemas d'Amor. The wind toyed with a few strands of her chestnut hair, and she didn't tuck them back. She simply smiled, at the book, or a memory it awakened, or perhaps the sun. Caleb stopped walking. The world muted. The music faded. Conversations dissolved into wind. All he could hear was his heartbeat, steady, stunned, and entirely unfamiliar. He wasn't a romantic. He didn't believe in such things. But the moment their eyes met, something vast and quiet unfolded between them. Her eyes, hazel, flecked with gold, met his with a startle, like she just recognized someone she didn't know she was waiting for. A pause hung between them, one breath long, but heavy with something unspeakably ancient. She smiled. It was not coy, not forced. It was warm, soft, the kind of smile that suggested 1,000 stories waiting to be told. "Hi," Caleb said, though he hadn't meant to. "Hi," she replied, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear this time. He glanced at the book in her hand. "Neruda. Good choice." Her smile deepened, just at the corners of her mouth. It's like falling in love with language all over again. "I wouldn't know," he admitted. "I'm more numbers and diagrams." She tilted her head, her curiosity gentle. "But you noticed the poetry table." He shrugged, trying not to smile, and failing. "Maybe I was looking for something." "Or someone," she said, and then, like sunlight breaking through morning mist, she laughed. "Sorry. That was a bit much." "No," Caleb said. "It wasn't." He learned her name was Elara. She was a children's book illustrator from Boston, visiting her aunt who ran the town's antique store. She loved blueberries, hated elevators, and believed you could tell a lot about a person by their favorite constellation. They spent hours wandering the fair, side by side as if they had walked that way forever. They spoke of things that rarely surfaced in ordinary conversation: dreams, childhoods, regrets too soft to name, and hopes too wild to say aloud. When the sun dipped and the fair began to glow with strings of lantern lights, Caleb found himself walking her home. Not because he felt obligated, but because leaving her side felt physically impossible. Outside her aunt's ivy-draped porch, they paused. The moon watched them from behind drifting clouds. "This was unexpected," she said. "Yeah." He exhaled, nervous but steady. "But not unwanted." She stepped closer, so close he could feel the warmth of her presence even before her fingers brushed his. "I don't usually do this," she whispered. "Neither do I." And then, with a slowness that defied every hurried thing in the world, they kissed. It wasn't fireworks or symphonies or the things movies like to promise. It was a silence that bloomed. A silence that said, "You're safe. You're found. You're real." The story of Caleb and Elara was not a straight line. There were miles between Boston and Vermont, different lives, old fears. But from that moment on, they began to build bridges. Letters scribbled in margins of sketchbooks. Late-night calls with sleepy laughter. Visits that turned into weekends, then weeks, then plans. Love at first sight wasn't the whole story. It was merely the first sentence of a novel they would spend a lifetime writing together. And every time Caleb looked at her, he still remembered that first glance, when everything changed. And how, in the quiet glow of a golden September afternoon, he stopped believing in logic just long enough to believe in magic. The end, or rather, the beginning,